Hey everyone, welcome to day 18. So today we're talking about something new. We're going to be talking about something called gerunds, and that's gerunds with a G. So gerunds are words that end with ing that can function either as a subject, object, or as a verb, depending on how they're used. Okay, they're pretty flexible. But to be honest, that's really the situation with just about any word in grammar. Okay, words rarely fall into these very specific categories that they don't deviate from. Instead, words really words can fall into all sorts of different categories depending on how they're used. A word can function as a subject, an object. It can sometimes function as a verb. Sometimes it can be an adjective, depending on how it's used. Okay, so gerunds are a great demonstration of how flexible words really can be. Just because we see something as an adjective in one sentence doesn't mean it's an adjective in another. Okay, we have to look at how the word is actually functioning. Okay, so let's get some examples. So Sheila was running on the track. Okay, for the sake of clarity, I'm just going to underline the gerunds in all of our examples here so that we can just clearly see what we're talking about. So running is a gerund, okay? And what this means is this word running, it can function in all sorts of different ways. It could be a subject, it could be an object, it could be a verb. So we have to look at this sentence and ask ourselves, okay, running, how is this functioning? Well, in this sentence, it seems pretty clear that running functions as a verb. Okay, it's what Sheila was doing. She's doing the action of running. She was running on the track. Okay, it's a verb, and was over here would be the helping verb. Okay, so running is the main verb, was is the helping verb. Okay, running functions as the verb. But what if we had a sentence like running makes Sheila tired? Well, here Sheila is not doing the action of running in the sentence. Okay? We're talking about running generally, in a general sense. In fact, we're not even talking about anyone doing the act of running here. We're talking about running as a thing. In fact, the verb of this sentence is makes. Okay? So now think about this. If makes is the verb, what is it then that makes Sheila tired? Running. So running is now functioning as a subject, a simple subject. Okay? Running is the thing acting upon the verb makes. Okay? So this thing that was a verb in a different sentence is now suddenly a subject. Rather than talking about it as an action, we're talking about it as a thing. Okay? So here it functions as a subject. Sheila loves running. Well, again, a little different. The main verb here is loves. What is it that Sheila loves? Sheila loves running. Here, it's functioning as a direct object. This is just the same as like Bobby hit the ball. Okay? Bobby hit the ball. Hit is the verb. Bobby is the subject because he does the hitting, and the ball is the direct object because it is the thing being hit. Okay, Sheila loves running. Loves is the verb. Sheila is the one who does the action of loving, and running is the thing that is loved. It's the direct object. So we have these three different examples where the same word functions in three different ways. Okay? So these action style words that end in ing, we refer to them as gerunds because they're such a flexible word and they can be used in such a variety of ways. And the thing is people will make the mistake of thinking that this is a verb every single time. Always a verb. Running, it's an action. But here's the deal. Sometimes we're not using it as an action in the sentence. Okay? So that's the key part that you have to wrap your mind around. Okay? Is that sure, okay. Yeah, you can talk about running as an action. I get that. But are we using it as an action in the sentence? Okay, the only one that is the top one. Sheila was running on the track. That's the only time where we are using it as the main verb. Okay, the other times it's a subject and then an object. Okay, now we also have what are known as gerund phrases. Okay, so this is where you get a gerund plus a little extra with it. Okay, so A gerund phrase is a group of words that are based around a gerund. This kind of phrase can function as a complete subject, complete verb, or even as an object. Okay, so it functions just the way a one-word gerund can function. So let's look at this example. Solving math equations is often complicated. All right, well, let's just stick with our simple stuff for right now. So in here, solving is the simple subject. Okay, solving is complicated. But the phrase solving math equations is what we'd call a gerund phrase. And not only is it a gerund phrase, but it makes up the complete subject. Okay, so we have a gerund phrase, solving math equations, which also makes up the complete subject. Okay, the complete subject is solving math equations. Okay, that's what's often complicated. Okay, solving math equations. A little test, just so you know, if you can't quite tell where the complete subject ends or where the gerund phrase ends, a little test is you know where it ends because you can just replace it all with the word it. So, for example, if I wanted to, if instead, if I didn't want to say solving math equations is complicated, if I didn't want to say all that, I would just shorten it to it is often complicated. Okay, so if I use it, okay, they call it the it test. If I throw it in there, look at what is deleted when I use the word it. Well, everything that's deleted when I use the word it, there's your complete subject. There's your gerund phrase. Okay? It is often complicated. Well, what's it? It is solving math equations. Okay. Now let's look at a slightly different one. Steve is solving math equations. Okay, here is solving. Okay? Here we have a verb. Okay? The simple verb is solving. However, is solving math equations makes up the complete verb. And notice that most of that, okay, not the only exception is, but all the rest of that is just our same gerund phrase, solving math equations. A third example now, this is a little different. Steve is tired of solving math equations. Okay, so look carefully at this one. Okay, our main verb in this one is. As a matter of fact, the main thought of this is Steve is tired. Okay, and look at this too. Of, we have a preposition. Now remember, prepositions always need to have an object. So what's the object of the preposition? Well, the answer is the whole gerund phrase. Okay, the whole gerund phrase. Solving math equations functions as the object of the preposition. Again, use the it test here. You'll notice how it just deletes the gerund phrase. Steve is tired of Steve is tired of it. Okay, there you go. Steve is tired of it. Solving math equations gets deleted. Okay, so the gerund phrase solving math equations functions as the object of the preposition. Okay, so last example to just kind of drive this home. Finding answers to life's toughest questions is rarely easy. Okay, so let's just break this down by simple subject, complete subject, simple verb, complete verb. Okay, our simple subject. I'm hitting the wrong button here. Okay, our simple subject. Finding answers to life's toughest questions is rarely easy. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's see here. Our simple subject is finding. Our complete subject is the gerund phrase, finding answers to life's toughest questions. Okay? Now, I know that this is the subject because our main verb is. Okay? We have a linking verb. Okay? And this linking verb is connecting this descriptor of easy to the subject. So what is it that is being described as easy? What is easy here? Well, okay, or sorry, what is rarely easy? Okay, well, finding answers to life's toughest questions. It. Okay, if I was going to use the it test, it would say, the part that would be deleted is finding answers to life's toughest questions, and I would just be left with it is rarely easy. Okay, so our simple verb is, and our complete verb is rarely easy. Now, something to watch out for. Watch out for gerund phrases as sentence fragments. And I say this because this is something I see a lot of in student writing. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with using a gerund phrase such as solving math equations or finding answers to life's toughest questions, as long as we never make a gerund phrase its own sentence. And that's the key. That's the thing that I see a lot of people do right now. Okay, so for example, if I saw something like this, solving math equations, period, or finding answers to life's toughest questions, period. Okay, these are sentence fragments, or in other words, these are incomplete sentences. All right, a gerund phrase is okay to use, but you got to make sure, okay, always make sure that a gerund phrase is part of a clause. Okay, there needs to clearly be a subject and a verb. Okay, notice how just by itself, solving math equations, are we talking about it? Is it a subject? Is it a verb? Is it an object? By itself, just solving math equations, period, we can't tell. We don't know. Are we talking about it as an action? Are we talking about it as a thing? We don't know. Same thing with finding answers to life's toughest questions, period. How are we using that? Okay, is it a subject? Is it a verb? We don't know. It's a sentence fragment. It's not grammatically correct. Okay, so this is something to watch out for. And when you guys are doing your own writing assignments, check to make sure that you don't have any of these gerund phrases just isolated on their own as a sentence fragment.